Here we are again, Daggy and Barney are with you to do footy and frothies. We just spent a good 5 minutes doing a mic check on the wrong mic, so that's good.
Yep.
But we can all hear each other.
Fantastic start.
I can hear you. You
Yes.
can hear me. I think I can hear you. Yeah, that sounds good. And here we are, Barn. What's happening?
Don't hear enough from the people out there, though.
No.
Come on, guys.
People,
Get
tell
amongst
us.
it.
We've had actually
Be abusive.
interesting.
nice.
We've had some stuff from some of our Supercoach friends.
Yes.
So Lloyd is playing his missus.
wife in the final of one
Which
of
is
our
always
comps.
dubious. Like, that's surely a burner. But well done, Lloyd. Beating yourself in the final. Why not? Well done for him getting all the way through to one of our comps. And Ben Roberts, good friend of the show, is going to play his brother in the
really?
Footy and Frothies official league. I guess it's official for the 20 people with crowbarred in.
Yep.
Him and Jack are playing in the
Right.
other one. So they both messaged us today to let us know. Ben's a big Waz fan, so
nice. Good year
we
for
might
him.
try and get him on. He's a very, very astute judge, obviously. Might try and get him on to talk about how they've gone this season at some point soon.
Good to see
listener of the show.
Danon got knocked out.
That's a real
Love
shame.
you, Danon.
Yeah, broke her heart there, poor bugger. And then in the repechage, I'm playing Flobs in the bottom 8 playoff. So
it's all in the family this weekend.
not quite the same. Get your mic up a little bit for me, Barn.
Yeah, mate.
Thank you. What else is happening?
No, not much. Just getting over the lingering fucking effects of whatever the hell it was that I caught last week. But it's been pretty good. Pretty good weekend. Obviously, we spent a fair bit of time together on Saturday.
Sorry about
which is most of it was okay. And just a family day on the Saturday, cleaning and running around chasing the little one around for the day. So it was been pretty good. Yourself?
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
No, just plugging through. I've got to say, and we thanks to, may as well plug them. Play Up gave us some tickets to the game, so check them out. Thanks especially to the Guzzler for arranging that. And
Very nice little
we
setup
got
down there.
spend a day in the field club.
The field club?
It's fantastic. Very great. Some good food. Obviously, plenty of frothies. Great seats on the
Nice
on the
seating.
halfway sign. I got
Absolutely.
to watch. I literally was standing from me to that table over there, so probably 10
Within
metres away
10
from
metres.
Appy's match-winning conversion, which is cool when you look back on it in hindsight.
Yep.
So
Didn't that just drop perfectly?
Oh,
I
just-
didn't think it was good. Didn't think it had the
I
legs.
don't think it's
but-
funny when you watch back the video. Even I don't think anyone else did either, and then the crowd just went, "Oh, yeah!" but yeah, Tigers won a game, so that was nice. Only cost me a couple hundred.
Yeah, it was a weird, weird vibe you're giving off at the end of that game.
Yeah, it's all about my pocket these days,
Yeah.
But it was a great night out. Like we said, I'd do it again. Just,
Yeah, absolutely.
Do it again. Take the missus next time if the opportunity was to arise. As much as I love spending it with you, David, I probably owe her something for letting me do this show twice a week, every week. But that all being aside, anything else you want to talk about this week?
Well, we've cleared up the 8 a little bit. There's
We
only
know
really
we're
now
headed.
2 or 3 left that are any chance of sneaking into that last spot. So.
I have, because I'm a very intelligent man, have been quite critical of South for a long time. I'm amazed to see how shocked. It's like everyone in the media was suddenly shocked Souths aren't going to make the 8. Like,
Yeah, no, I
Have
was
they
just
been watching
more
games?
surprised that generally the 2 big guns in that team do really stand up in the in those big games, and there was really only one of them in Damien Cook that got in and amongst it. The other 2 went missing for large parts of that
Latrell
game.
did not cover himself in glory.
No.
And as everyone knows, I am a huge fan, but it wasn't his finest
So
moment.
we'll break that down a little bit more
Absolutely.
when we actually get to it.
Speaking
but,
of Souths, we should.
no,
H-
definitely wasn't surprised to see them lose. The way they lost was a bit. It was very disappointing, especially if you're a South fan.
We'll get to that. But speaking of Souths, I want to pay tribute to Kyle Turner, who unfortunately
Absolutely.
lost his life on the weekend. Very sad news. 31, I believe. Premiership winner. Career crawled a little bit through injury, and unfortunately, very sad thoughts to all of his friends and family, and all the best to them. Very, very
absolutely.
sad news. I guess we may as well keep running through the rest of it. Speaking of Latrell, he's out for 1 to 2 matches, which would be,
He's taken
I
early
assume,
play. He's got the one.
so it'd just be the Roosters game because we've got the bye this week,
Yep.
which they can use. But we have also flagged how much travel they've had lately. But speaking, a few people seem to think that shouldn't matter. Vince was nonplussed about that. He said that's all bullshit.
Well, Perth's a big one, but the Sharks bounced back off the trip to Perth, so it's probably more
they've had
the positioning of where Souths were coming into those games more so than where they're at now.
Yeah. Other injury news: Jaden Campbell was thought to be an ACL.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently now could just be patella subluxation,
Right. Well, that's
which is good.
Yeah, that's a fantastic result. If that's
it might not matter if they're finished in 2 weeks anyway.
No, that's right.
But it's better than missing him for next season.
Means
as well.
he should be there at the start of next year rather than having to miss him till round 15 or 20 next year.
Absolutely. And Philip Sammy, through the same game, has a Liz Frank injury, which I think's running your bones through the middle there somewhere.
High ankle sprain with one of the bones cracked.
We won't see him again. I haven't seen anything about Garrick, but it didn't look pretty coming down on his back there.
No, he had the wind taken out of him.
And Teddy is a Category 1. I think they've already got moves in motion to try and get him. And what happened in that game
was upgraded by the bunker.
Yeah, which is what I talked about last week.
Absolutely,
and
it was.
It happened again.
Yeah.
Rightly or wrongly, but I don't understand how it can be made from a box 50 k's away. But
I'm just assuming it comes down to probably the player's reaction in that first minute after the knock. You know what I mean? Like the signs that they are showing when they.
Yeah.
Whereas a doctor might miss that first 10 or 20 seconds after the impact.
Yeah.
And the cameras are obviously a lot closer to see what kind of reactions you're getting out of the player.
That being said, I know it's a must-win game, but it's not like the Roosters to rush them in that situation either. So I wouldn't be shocked if, given they're playing the Tigers, if.
Well, when I got home, I did go and watch all the. I went back and watched all the press conferences over the weekend, and he basically said as much. He goes, "Well, if it's classified as one, and he seems okay at the moment, but it's not something that we're really going to push with him. We'll get through the week and see how it's going."
Of any club in the NRL, they've had that history, haven't they, with Cordner and Friend and co.
Had a pretty rough run in the last 3 or 4 years, the Roosters, with the HIA.
No other real suspension news. They, as well, fines. Tigers have officially signed Bud Sullivan and Aiden Caesar for next year, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's some depth in the half.
Something to add there. Dewey will be back at the back end of next year. Fainu as well. So they do get, at least this year, they do get a pre-season with Marshall in charge. And interesting for the Tigers that I was thinking about this a little bit today. Remember, they didn't have a pre-season with Bateman. Didn't have a pre-season with Brooks because he had the injury going into the year, and it's been a concern all the way through. Buller was injured pre-season too. Otherwise, they were saying he would have debuted in
Apparently
that first
they
round.
trained Laurie at 6 for most of the off-season, and then
Dewey
didn't play him there.
Dewey didn't have a pre-season. So, like, in terms of it's all, eternal optimism being a Tigers fan, but it'd be good to see, a 30-man squad get a full pre-season when you say some of those names out loud and think about it and what they missed through injury. It's not the worst thing. Caesar, he brings a very good left-foot kicking game. A player willing to dig into the line, which is good, which could open up whatever. I assume Sullivan ends up maybe a 14, but who knows? We'll see what happens. See with Fainu, they start with Fainu, whether that's something for down the road, but all very interesting, and at least it's something to work with.
Well, Caesar, even at the back end of his career in the NRL, did play a bit more like a 6 than a 7. So if Sullivan was to play as that, more as a ball distributor and a controlling half, which does seem like he has that in his game, could be a setup there for the Tigers.
Yeah, so that's, it's something. So that's cool. Not a lot of other news.
Doesn't mean much for you for 12 months, though, unfortunately.
Here we are, and we get to
or 9 months.
Until our 5-hour preview show where we, spurt bullshit again. But no, it's not. But at least it's a result. You can move forward and
absolutely.
See what's going on. Anything else happening you want to talk about?
No, not overly.
Cool.
Get into the game.
We may as well get into it. And you would have been a happy boy on Thursday night, 32-12. Sharks have now put together a very, very good month of footy.
3 weeks at least, yeah.
Let's call it 3 weeks. Physical. Well, they came back from Perth in better form. So, physical, very good execution, and you would have been happy. So you may as well get stuck into the stats and lead us away.
Yeah, 12 points for the Cowboys, 32 for the Sharks. 2 tries to 5. 2 out of 2 conversions for the Cowboys, 5 out of 5 for Cronulla. and 1 out of 1 penalty attempt for Cronulla. 83% completion for the Cowboys, 79% for Cronulla. 198 plus running metres for the Sharks. 3 line breaks to 4, 44 tackle busts played 49, 8 offloads to 13, 2 forced dropouts for Cronulla, 1 40-20 for the Sharks. 331 tackles played 346, 8 errors to 12, 4 penalties conceded to 7, 3 ruck infringements against Cronulla, 1 inside the 10 against the Cowboys. Hines with 108 Supercoach points, Drinkwater with 85, and Connor Tracy with 79. As you said, pretty happy as a Sharks fan, to be honest. They're still going to need to improve on what they're doing to challenge the absolute cream of the crop in those top 2 or 3 teams that are on the top of the ladder. But performances like they've put out for the last 2 or 3 weeks would be at least competitive for a big chunk of a match, I would imagine. The defensive lineup's been much more resistant recently, which has been obviously a pleasure to see rather than just teams scoring at will.
Shoulders out there.
Yeah, Trindle's made a big difference there, and so's Wade Graham, actually.
He's had a good month.
I know he's missed a couple of tackles here and there, but it generally comes towards the back end of the game when he gets a bit tired. At the start, he's been quite good in defence, and obviously if you can keep him out for as long as possible, that helps. There was some good scramble in this match as well, especially at the start, because Cowboys did challenge the Sharks a little bit in the first
35 minutes where this was game on.
Yeah, 25, 30 minutes. And the Sharks did sort of scramble to save a try or two in that first half an hour. It helps that they've got a second strong kicking option now. Like Trindle's doing half, if not more, of the kicking at the moment, especially the long kicking, which is obviously taking a bit of pressure off Hines.
I think the 2 key discussion points in the change of the last 3 weeks has been Tracy and Trindle, and what they've done is make it like the sweep play with Sharks go for
that slingshot
20
to
rounds.
an edge. Yep.
And now it's much more direct. Tracy's happy to come back through the middle. Trindle very good at taking the line on. Got a great short kicking game when he does take the line on, and he has to grub her out. He's pretty good at it.
Correct. Yep.
And as you say, he just takes the pressure off Nico, who doesn't have. I mean, he's a Dalian halfback of the year, but. I wouldn't say he's got an absolute A+ kicking game, but having 2 options helps.
No, he's got a decent long boot, but he's not pinpoint like your top kickers.
Whereas Trindle's just that complete other dimension. And when we said it,
and he's probably a little bit more accurate with the boot, to be honest. When he does kick long,
it's actually quite an impressive kicking game. And surprised that he wasn't more on the open market. More targeted by teams like.
I'm surprised there hasn't been offers for him over the last 12 to 18 months.
Now he's a first grader. And
similar with Tracy, to be honest.
Yeah.
As you mentioned Tracy, I was just about to get to him, but you've said pretty much everything I was going to say there. Playing very quick, direct in the middle of the field, challenging 2 and 3 players, and then looking for the offload or the pass, which was there was a beautiful try there where he's jinked in between 2 or 3 guys and got the ball out wide that they scored. They scored off the back of that. The thing that probably made me happy the most was the entire pack had a crack in this one. Generally, you see 2 or 3 of them have a decent game or a very good game, and there's a couple of guys that sort of have average matches. But in this one, I think just about every single one of the forward pack really got in and made an impact, especially ball in hand. They were decent in defence, but some of the running meters when they were on the back foot really made a big difference with the likes of your ULAs. Hazelton's a beast ball in hand. He's still not getting enough minutes, obviously. I'd like to see him get some more, but they are extending him out a little bit. As you mentioned, both teams sort of went set for set early. Sharks seemed to get a little bit of an edge in field position, but then they gave away a penalty and an error for the Cowboys to come down. Drinkwater I was pretty disappointed in that try, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know he's got good footwork and pace, but I think he got tapped on the back by one player as he ran through about 4 of them. And scored pretty close to the post there. And then, made them pay. But then the Cowboys went and did the same thing. They gave away, I think it was a repeat set off the back of an error and gave the Sharks opportunity to go down. And they didn't miss on their first one. They pretty much took over the momentum not long after that with the 2 big forwards crashing over just next to the post. Like Hazelton went over first and then Royce Hunt went over in the space of about 6 minutes, I think it was, and that was pretty much game over after that. They really got revved up in the middle of the field and just continued to roll through the Cowboys pack, which surprised me, to be honest.
We say a bit, like, when you're conceding 2 prop tries, that's soft. Like that is 2 crash play tries is not where you want to go. I actually thought the second half was very disappointing if you're a Cowboys fan.
Yes.
I haven't been, had the little streak there.
They didn't
I
really
was
look like
never
challenging the Sharks
for them
line at all.
thinking they're going to be better than what they have.
Mm-hmm.
But this was, they have nothing second half.
Yeah, it was a bit scrappy from both teams, about 5 minutes either side of half time. But as soon as the Sharks got back into because they were running at about 100%, I think, through to about half an hour.
Yeah.
And then got a bit of scrappy 5 minutes either side at half time, but then kicked back in and ran at about 85% for the rest of the game and just put the Cowboys away pretty comfortably at the back end of the game. Thought they probably could have scored another try or two as well, but it didn't happen. Leilua and Cotter were very good for the Cowboys. Robson and Hiku were decent. Hiku did get found out once or twice, but I thought he had a decent game. Velame is very good again. He's been a great signing for the Cowboys. And Drinkwater was their biggest threat all night. The forwards were all decent from the Sharks. Hunt, Hazelton were great. Tracy and Trindle were very good. Rudolph had an awesome game, I thought, and so did Nico Hines. And I thought they were probably the two standouts in the game. And I had Hines with 3 points, Rudolph with 2, and then I gave one to Drinkwater just for how threatening he was when in early in the match. But
I'm sort of okay. Connor Tracy or
probably should have given that.
I think Connor Tracy deserves a point. And I was going to make a case, if we had to, for Wade Graham, because of what you said earlier. I think his defence has been almost as good as it's been for.
The first game he came into the side was a bit average, but ever since then he's really picked it up.
So retirement's treating him well. I actually we'll go. What do you think? Three Nico, 2.
No, 3 Nico, 2 to Rudolph,
1 to Tracy.
Tracy was tremendous actually.
And a little shout out, great moment. Got weirdly emotional about it. Tom Malolo coming out with Ollie
his Labrador,
which is cool. I was waiting for him to get to the end of the line and give the Labrador to some kids, and then I'll be like, wow, you'd feel dirty if you're one of his kids, but obviously it wasn't the case. But beautiful moment there. That was cool. So, and kudos to him on a fantastic career, 250 games now. So, more to come. We got two very entertaining games on the Friday night.
They were.
I'd argue probably the game of the round was Manly and the Warriors, where Manly were very good, turned up and matched the physicality as the score was 29-22. You may as well do the stats and we can talk about, I guess, the game-changing decision.
5 tries to 4 out of 5 conversions for the Warriors, 3 out of 4 for Manly. Missed penalty attempt for the Manly side, 80% completion from both teams, 168 plus running metres for the Warriors, 6 line breaks to 4, 26 tackle busts, played 31, 4 offloads to 13, 1 forced dropout from both teams, 289 tackles made by the Warriors, 338 made by Manly, 13 errors to the Warriors, 9 to Manly, 7 penalties conceded from both teams, 1 ruck infringement to 3, and 3 inside the 10 against the Manly side. Dallin with 126 Supercoach points, Saab with 120, and Tohu Harris with 92.
Where are you going to start?
Just how hard the Warriors had to work to get this victory. I know they shot themselves in the foot a couple of times, and they weren't exactly at their best when they started this match. But mainly, I did say I thought it would be a tussle for 60 minutes, but I thought it was an even closer game than
Yeah, it was. And Manly were on top until
at different times.
I would go as far to say, and I'm not saying anything about the decision because I don't disagree with the decision. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't know how I feel, but
they looked like they were coming at them, didn't they?
If that changed the game because they went upfield, Niokore busted a hold, off they went. But at that point in attack, they were on top. I liked physicality out of their front, their forwards there. Sipley, Olakau'atu had a good game, but I thought their front rows matched up really well.
Sipley's been fantastic the last couple of weeks.
To what Fanua Blake, who didn't have some of his best moments this year, still was fantastic.
Tohu was fantastic.
Well, again, spoilers, Tohu was getting 3 from me, but he was amazing. And how he's still doing it at whatever he is, 34, is incredible. But I thought they matched up really well to a Spruik pack. And the outside backs who have had their ups and downs this year probably confirmed what I've thought about my concern with the Warriors being the Warriors outside backs have some chinks.
Yep.
And Harper had a pretty good game, all things considered. Obviously, Saab had 3
Saab had a
tries, and
blinder,
Caller had some. I thought he had more. Yeah, apparently, he had no tackle breaks, but I thought he was pretty good. So Caller, but anyway, and they've got something in Vega who can put on the odd hit here and there. But they matched up well, and that was where a lot of the trouble was done. I guess spreading the ball and causing those concerns.
Yeah, well, they played a little bit like they did against Penrith.
Yeah,
They went to the middle when they had to, but they were very keen to get it to an edge.
yeah.
Especially that right edge that Saab was on, and they did strip that side a couple of times. It was that's Montoya's edge, and he didn't seem to get caught out too often, but it was more a little bit of problems inside of him that he had to try and sort of cover. And then, once you get to that point where you're scrambling trying to fix up problems from the blokes on the inside of you got very little chance of stopping Saab from streaking down the wing, down the other side. DCE's kicking game was tremendous again. Didn't have to kick as far as normal to get them out of trouble, just because they were so competitive in the middle of the field. But definitely made a difference with his precision in his kicking game again.
And just some of his touches were like he's ultimately, as we said, he's in a conversation with best halfback in the comp. But when he chose to spread it, he didn't often get it wrong. It was one of the better halfback performances of the week. Actually, apart from probably Ben Hunt, when we get to him, he had some real lovely touches. But I thought he had them humming, Manly, and that was all through DCE's kicking and getting him around the park.
If it wasn't for 3 or 4 standout performances from the Warriors, Manly probably win this game.
Yeah. Well, let's get to one of those standouts. The other bloke, and it's obvious, but Dallin, incredible. All 3 of those tries, he had a lot of work to do.
And he just gets it done, doesn't he?
He either lands it or he bumps off 8 blokes. And
he's getting smarter too. Like, he's not putting himself into positions to get put out unless he's actually trying to score. Yeah. Like, he's cutting back in a lot when he feels like he's under a bit of pressure, and or he'll take the ball well back in field just to sort of settle things down if it does completely shut down out on an edge. Whereas he used to have a tendency of just going for the corner every time and getting bundled into touch quite a bit. But he just seems in his effort in the last 2 months has just been tremendous.
Second try he scored, but was it second where he bumped off 4 or 5 blokes just from a nothing position and scored? That's the stuff we haven't seen from many wingers in a while.
And he's happy to take the contact too. He takes those hard runs, whereas a few of the wingers out there don't like to get too involved in that stuff.
Oh, we'll get to one in the Parra game, but anyway. Where else? You mentioned 3 or 4 others. Where do you want to go? Obviously, Tohu, just incredible game from him to be through the middle. I thought Wade Egan was very good in the time he's on the field. And the 2 second rowers, I assume, is where you're going next. But do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought Fanua Blake was okay without being at his absolute best. Nia Corre's, obviously was at the end of the day was the reason that they won the game with that solo effort. But it's not just that one try, because every carry he has is pretty much that same. He runs that same line. He's got absolutely no fear of getting belted. Yep. He's quite happy to cop the biggest hit in the world and get back up and have another crack. So that's it comes through the repetition and the consistent effort that he puts in through there. The Walker off the bench was pretty strong. Again,
actually, he changed a lot of momentum when he came on.
He always just seems to pick up the tempo and get some buzzing in and around the middle of the field. Adds another ball playing option for Johnson. If he doesn't feel like taking the ball, he just seems to dump it back to Walker and goes, "Do your best." Jackson Ford again has been absolutely brilliant for the Warriors for the entire year. Again, another one who's more than happy to take those hits. Very strong in defence. Probably one of the better defenders as a back rower as well. And
he's had a phenomenal season. I think he's a Dragons junior. Obviously, came through that system.
Yes.
No, he's not
He was touted as a future superstar in St George. I was very surprised that they let him go, to be honest.
But he's and the Warriors tend to be off the radar a little bit. But you wouldn't be upset to see him as a bench New South Wales player down the road. If you think he's having as good a year as Sean Lane did in the past. I know Sean Lane didn't play for New South Wales, but was in the conversation for the Australian back row spot. And I know it's hotly contested when you got Carrigan, Murray, Yo and co. But as a whole running bloke can come on and just have a real strong 20 minutes, you could do much worse.
Yep. We mentioned pretty much everyone, I think, from the Manly side, except for maybe Garrick. I thought his effort again was tremendous. He just works so hard at fullback. He doesn't blow the game open as often as some of the other guys there, but he's always there and thereabouts, just challenging for high balls, which we probably should get to. Chan's made some really nice efforts in and around the football as well for the Warriors team. But I thought Garrick was instrumental in a couple of times where they did break down that sideline and Saab got away to score. But the big talking point out of this one is obviously the deflection off the field goal attempt that come back and bounced about 7 metres in the air, and then Garrick's jumped up to get it, and Chans has come through and basically stiff-armed him across the knees and flipped him up onto his back. Letter of the law, obviously.
Yeah, and Annesley Banks came out already. I didn't listen to any of his stuff today.
Yep.
Probably because Ty's getting fucked for once. So
but he come out straight after the game.
But he basically said, what did he actually do wrong, I think were literally his words. And under the law, a bouncing ball, there's no tackle in the air.
Yeah.
Which seems a bit ridiculous when you say it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
But he was put in an unsafe position. He came straight down and was winded, and...
Well, they also said that. They also said that he wasn't put in an unsafe position.
Well, he came straight down, but...
Yeah, because of the way he landed.
Yeah.
But he could have... That contact was...
Well, if he rotates another 10 degrees, he lands on his head.
That contact could have sent him in any sort of direction,
Yeah.
Realistically. I'm surprised he didn't come down on his head.
Yeah.
The way that his legs were taken out from underneath him.
And I think...
It was more because I think Chans was directly underneath him, so once the legs were taken... the weight went on the shoulder, which turned him onto his back, and then he's landed flat on his back. But the way that he came through it was basically a clothesline tackle on his legs when he was up in the air. I think that's something
it's a tricky thing. But you know what? I reckon in another game with a bottom 14, they give that a penalty.
Probably.
And blow a penalty.
I'm surprised it wasn't, to be honest. Just the way the force in the tackle when the guy was in there. But it's not against the letter of the law, so.
No. And he explained it, and DC didn't have a problem with that.
He was confused.
Well, he's not really
you could see a look on his face. He's like, what the fuck do you mean? Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah. But it was a weird one because I wasn't upset by the decision, but then the more I thought about it, and it's tricky because if you're doing it in fast motion, and say it's me and you in the backyard, and the same thing happens, and it's an innocuous thing. You're throwing your arm out. You might just go, and he's probably half pulling out.
Yeah.
But it caused a situation, and if you half pull out and hit someone in the head, you go to the bin.
But a kicker that kicks the ball, who skips basically, gets maybe 6-8 inches off the ground, and gets hit across the chest and put on his back, is penalised every day of the week.
That's true.
So when you've got a guy who's 2 foot up in the air and you're taking his legs clean out from underneath him, I think it has to be a penalty.
No, well, when you put it that way, and I hadn't thought of that spectrum, you're right. In that you can't, if a kicker hits the ground, it's a penalty straight away. Even if unless you cradle him.
And he only has to get his second foot a couple of inches off the ground.
Yeah.
And it's a penalty.
Like I said, I wasn't outraged by it, but ultimately it cost Burnley the game.
It took all their energy.
That was the game, and
obviously from keeping the ball.
There was a few games this weekend the same thing happened.
Like even because he didn't really lose the ball either. He just sort of let it go because I think obviously the pain that radiated through his spine when he got smacked on his back.
I think he would have been winded like shit.
If he just hung on to the ball.
Yeah,
they've still got it. They're 20 metres out.
The worst thing happened is he called play on.
But yeah,
because he said he's knocked on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was it. It was literally the next set, and it happens
Yeah, completely changed the game. Manly run up the other end of the field and score. So
yeah,
but they didn't seem to have the energy to get back into it. So
the only thing I haven't really talked about, we haven't touched on the halfback Sean Johnson, but doesn't he love when? And we talked about this on the train. But doesn't he love being rushed? Yeah, when two blokes come out, lined him on the last. And the Warriors have it set up so well that when he starts going, I think part of that is how good his running game has been this year that they feel they have to. So it's not so much a self-fulfilling prophecy, but his talent's what enables this. But when they rush him, the Warriors just go, "How good's this?" And they just line up outside him and go donk donk donk, and Dallin inevitably just waltzes over or
And
busts.
again, they provide those options. You'll notice a lot of the time towards the back end of a tackle, Chance is sitting pretty much directly in behind Johnson, and he'll go with him whatever way he goes.
Yeah.
The back rowers lay the lines on either side of him.
And at the moment, Metcalf's on the left, but they'll go right, and they just line up, and it's precision every time.
And then you've got your back rowers or your front rowers laying the lines on tight on either shoulder, which compresses the defence around Johnson as well. And then just generally a shift to an edge for Dallin to do a backflip and score in the corner.
But it was so obvious in that game. They pulled it off 3 or 4 times. A couple got. They didn't get there a couple of times, but
they went with Metcalf once, and they went. Yeah.
But as actually Cooper Cronks mentioned, you're only as good as your hole runners as a half.
Yeah, of course,
and
absolutely.
When you've got near Corey Ford, Tohu, who's scored a couple of tries lately,
Fanua
Blake, or Humming, it's easy to look good, I guess. What do you take from the Warriors? Are they going to be top 4?
It's a down game for them. I don't think they can miss the top 4 now, can they?
No, they're top 4 now.
Yeah, so they definitely get 2 bites at the cherry, and they get a home. They'll get that second game in New Zealand, I would imagine, because it's a home state or whatever it is. So that only creates a bigger opportunity for them to get through to at least the grand final qualifier. They're in the picture for mine. Them and Brisbane are the 2 teams that I could see on their day that can really challenge Penrith.
Yeah.
Still not sure if they can beat them.
But they're clear third pick now. Yeah. And I think this weekend showed that. And I'm again same as when I treated how when they lost to Souths as an anomaly. This is a bit of a down game. I think their best is still better than what most teams can do. But the concern where they can't match Brisbane and Penrith is those centres. With all due respect to Barry and Pompey, they aren't Staggs and Herbie, and they aren't Crichton and
Tango or
Tango.
Peachy's playing quite well at the moment.
As good as he's played in many years.
Absolutely.
Nothing like getting out of the Tigers to make you feel better. 3-2. I'm giving 3 to Tohu.
Harris, Dallin, DCE.
Let's go with that. Alrighty, 34-12. The Roosters beat the Eels and ended their season. They're 2 weeks from Bali now. Well, 10 days from Bali.
Kept their own season going.
To keep their hopes alive, and as I've done for 6 weeks, I'm tipping to make the final.
Yeah, but 8 weeks ago, you were tipping South to win the comp. So.
No, I wasn't. That was 12 weeks ago. I was tipping Brisbane to win the comp.
12 weeks ago, yeah, that's right.
Sorry, I'll sit down there, everybody. Sorry. You've got happy hour, Daggy, tonight, because Barney turned up late, so I've been here since 5.
Yeah, nice. We had 2 tries for Parramatta, 6 for the Roosters.
Just tell my heartburn that.
2 out of 2 conversions, played 5 out of 6 for Sydney side. 70% completion, played 75%. 230-plus running metres for the Roosters. 4 line breaks to 10. 24 tackle busts to 52. 21 offloads to 13. 1 forced dropout by the Roosters. Isn't a forced dropout 50-50 these days? It's ridiculous.
What about they overturn themselves twice in the same... Like, they'll go and give it, and they'll overturn it, and they'll overturn it again. Anyway.
There's so many short dropouts. It's become a 50-50 lottery, the forced dropout. 327 tackles, plays 335.
Should not take the 50-50, but...
No. 15 errors apiece, 5 penalties conceded to 4. 1 ruck infringement to 4. Tedesco with 125 Supercoach points, Suwali with 108, Keary with 92, and Dylan Brown on 88. Took a little while for the Roosters to get going. They were sort of pitting starts and stops at the start of this game for about 20 minutes, but once they did get in there, it felt like it was pretty much game over after about 30 to 40 minutes.
This became different gravy after half an hour.
After about half an hour. Paris scored first, I'm pretty sure it was. They get, after a couple of penalties with, who was it? Cartwright.
Cardi Party. Who had a great first 20 minutes and then...
disappeared into the ether.
Didn't.
No, he's been very good this year.
He's actually been just about their best. He should just about win their Players Player,
yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
He'd be right up there in the running for it, that's for sure.
And even in knocking, he was the only one really trying hard in that last 20, and just things weren't going right. He had to offload, pop out and a few other things, but can't knock the effort in any way, shape or form with him.
Roosters gave away a bit of ball early in the game, a couple of penalties, but they really seemed to be able to still hold Parramatta. Like, there wasn't anything coming from the Parramatta, their attack, that really seemed to trouble the Roosters, especially early. It helped that Parramatta couldn't seem to put more than 2 or 3 tackles together without making a mistake or running backwards, or just the ball would get to someone and they just stand there because they ran behind somebody. Or they were pretty bad in attack for large parts of the game. Felt like most of Parra's team was just sort of sitting back waiting for somebody else to do the job.
Well,
for mine, a lot of blokes there that really didn't want to get too involved.
Exact figures, but it's interesting that basically any time it's 59 minutes and 68 minutes, BA has so little faith in that forward pack. That every time something goes wrong, he just trots Paulo back
RCG.
out.
Yeah,
get back out, and I think Paulo would have come on and off 3 times himself.
He went pretty good,
and he was fine. Yeah, that's not knocking him, but it's just the fact that he doesn't seem to trust anyone else. Like Joffa only played 20 minutes. He's better than that in what they've used here.
Absolutely. And I think that led to a lot of the frantic shit that we saw from Parramatta as well. Yeah. Just blokes trying to do it on their own because there didn't seem to be a lot of support. Blokes like Gutherson making some unusual mistakes. Brown and Penasini. Penasini's good for a mistake every probably 20 minutes, but.
From where we thought like we had him on the same trajectory as Tungo a year ago, and he's not.
He can be awesome with the ball, but his consistency's still got a lot to go with his career. And the only reason I think the Roosters didn't win by more was their errors, especially early in the match.
I would say for the first half hour, the scramble from both teams was very, very good.
They were both really fighting.
There were chances, and both teams did create chances. But Roosters' goal line defence was fantastic because there were chances. The execution obviously wasn't necessarily there for Parra, but their scramble and cover. Lindsay Collins, just a star, like an actual star. Ever since Origin,
so much effort out of
since he had that, since he had that Origin series, because he was doing fuck all up to that, and it's like he's just realised again that he's just
bigger than most of them.
Yeah, but
he's got a motor that he can just keep going.
He was fantastic, and the Parra scramble was pretty good too for that first half.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
Sorry, let you get going.
No, you're right. Sevo needs to be chained to his fucking edge. Like, they need to chain him to the fucking sideline.
That was going to be our next point.
So he can't get 5 metres off that sideline.
If you ever watch those tries that, and Swiley just waltzed past him untouched a couple of times. If you go and watch, and even the Teddy tries actually, if you go and watch what Sevo does there, I don't actually know what his plan was. Because he would come off and go make a beeline for like the 7. He wouldn't make a beeline. He wouldn't come in to cover the centre. He'd be going that way. And they just...
If they don't chain him to the edge, they need to just put a stripe the whole way down the field.
We've said this. Like, what
5 or 10 metres off the edge.
To be up and in and they just can't do it
must
right?
Be,
or what is it? Or umbrella?
They have to be.
But and now he's back, but he was...
You see Gutho's always in and behind and into that corner. So
and he's always sliding. He's the one that's always sliding.
He's always pushing for that corner to cover the bloke that gets on the outside. But they just leave way too much room. Like, there's times there where there's 10 and 15 metres to the sideline, and you could fit 3 blokes down there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I know.
And Gutho's not going to stop 2 or 3 of them at the same time. So, it's ridiculous. And Russell as well. He was just as bad on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
He did some of the exact same stuff. Gutho and Assi both tried hard with mixed results. Obviously, sometimes it come off, sometimes it didn't. But
and Dylan Brown had some nice moments.
Yeah, he had some very nice touches.
Didn't have. They're all in the same boat, really. For Parry.
Couldn't command the game. Paulo, RCG were good. Madison and Cartwright were okay. Hopgood was fantastic again. He probably will get their player's player, I would imagine.
I think
He's been brilliant for them. And, Brown was great as well. But, May had another good game for the Roosters. Baker and Collins were good. Brandon Smith probably had his best game in the Roosters colours. Close to. I thought he was very good in this one. Sawali, Keary and Butcher, they were
a little bit more bowling ball cheese, which is what we wanted. Yeah. He was happy to take the line on a few more times. Should have nearly had a try. Or a
couple of hits in defence, which was good to see. Sawali had a fantastic game, as did Keary and Butcher, but it was the Teddy show. Again, every time that they were in decent position, he was always in support, and that it cashed in 2 or 3 times on the back of it, and try assists as well to come with it. He was he was brilliant for for this side.
I was kicking myself because my last Supercoach trade, I had a choice between him and essentially him and Chance, and I went Chance, and I should have.
You back yourself.
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah,
I like what Drew Hutchison's doing at the moment. He's playing some good footy at halfback there.
He's always had a lot of
Kiri
structure to him, which they've been crying out for really this year.
Interestingly enough, Sam Walker apparently is back this week, so we'll see if he's going to be back and being 7. But I wouldn't be tinkering too much just yet.
They can always put Hutchinson back on the bench and use it as a fallback option.
Yeah.
I think that bit of flair and unpredictability probably is needed at this time of the year.
Well, for them to get deep, it has to be different. And they're capable. Like, if they click here, they're capable of being.
Yeah, but their outside backs have been really good the last couple of weeks.
Been fantastic. Billy Smith's been great again. He was good here. Swaley's been brilliant since we pot-planted him a few weeks ago.
Butcher's been fantastic.
And Butcher was great again in this game. Actually would be in conversation for some points. More I think about this. But, Parra done. Like, I think they looked cooked. They feel cooked. We don't have to worry about them. I think we'll save too much more of the post-season analysis to post-season. And let Damo and Danon have their crack at him. But
they killed themselves in the first 10 weeks of the comp. Exactly. They win 2 or 3 games in 10 weeks.
Yeah. What how realistic are Chooks here? I actually think if you had to put him in order, they're almost 5th pick right now because I think they've got enough to go deep. They'll match up physically. They'll need a lot to go their way, and I'm not saying they'll win the comp. I
don't think their forwards can go with the likes of Penrith, Broncos, and Warriors. Not long enough. They'll be maybe 20 minutes each half. They probably can.
Yeah.
But at the back end of each half, you're going to see them.
If you're getting A-grade Guzzi,
getting pulled apart, I would imagine.
A-grade JWH and A-grade
Collins,
Butcher. You could, but poor old Guzzi didn't have the greatest of games on his return. Butcher's their best worker, and Collins, like I said, was a star in this game. But there are
Hargraves missed, so they need to make the finals for him to get to his 300th game.
Yes.
Even he's going around next year as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's re-signed. I believe if they don't, he's free to be Vegas.
Yes, it would.
So there you go.
Ooh, you could end up in some trouble with celebrating your 300th in Vegas.
Exactly. I'm sure there's a part of him that would absolutely hope he does. But in terms of what I talked about the Warriors earlier, their outside backs at their best can match.
Yeah, absolutely. They're as good as any other sort of centres and wingers in the competition. Realistically, if they get it right, if they all get it right at the same time, they can compete with anybody.
Yeah. Good signs. I mean, I feel like we probably haven't done the Roosters justice, but today they were pretty good here. They're on the right track.
They're pretty bad for a long stretch.
They were better than Parra for the last 20 minutes, put it that way.
In this game, they were better than Parra for the majority of the match, I thought. Probably even close to it. You could push it out to almost an hour, I would think. Yeah. As soon as the Roosters started to take that ascendancy and put on a couple of tries, it just felt like the game was finished.
They need to beat the Tigers without Teddy. Mm-hmm. Corresponding game last year, they won by 70. And then they come down to Souths again in Mad Sunday or wherever it is, Sin Bin Sunday again. And right now, I would be shocked if I didn't tip the Roosters in 2 weeks' time.
Correct.
Which puts them in the 8. Mm-hmm. It's good for Newcastle, good for Canberra. They've saved Canberra's bacon because they're on a slippery slide, but
unless the Cowboys can pull off a win against Penrith in the last round, which could also happen.
Well,
if
let's
Penrith
see who gets rested. But it doesn't seem to matter for Penrith.
We can talk about that next week.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're back on Wednesday night.
So let's go 3 points.
Yeah.
I gave Kiri 2. I thought he was very good in getting them around the field. Provided a lot of ball playing options
he was good.
To get the ball out to the outside
just
man.
Touch on that a little bit more because he was very good here. I think that's where Hutchins helped him because Hutchins had that more controlled side of it, and let's let Kiri get back to being the running.
Yeah, where he does try to get on the outside.
Kiri's best footy, if you look at Kiri's career, his best footy was outside Cooper Cronk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Drew Hutchins not Cooper Cronk.
And even at Souths when he was outside Reynolds. And his best option, his best option's always been the right to left, getting on the outside shoulder of his defender, and trying to draw the man on the inside, and then you get the short pass back inside. Or if he's got lazy defenders, he's got a pretty handy left foot step and some good acceleration to get through the hole. And I thought he created a lot of options here with the ball spread. he threw some really nice cutouts to make sure that the ball got out to where it needed to be early, and set up options for Suwali and Manu and the other side of the field with Billy Smith as well. So
Look, I was giving Collins 2.
okay.
And I was thinking Swali Butcher 1, but you're right about Kira. I didn't really give him respect deserved. So
I had Kiri with 2, and
halfway?
then I had Nat Butcher would also be in the conversation for 1, but I'm happy to give Collins 1.
He's in the conversation for 1. Tricky when they play well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's go Collins 1.
Yep.
And honorary mention to Nat
and Dylan Brown in a beaten side. I thought he was
probably their best.
Easily their best, but
let's get to, as my laptop
we were there.
swirls, the Tigers 24-23 in the last minute at Combank Stadium.
Seem to be enjoying it more now than what you did when we were at the game.
Well, Barney, you know what I'm like. When I'm actually when
you got a couple hundred on the
but when it's Group 1 Saturdays, well, I need to have a night of races.
That's true.
For anyone ever wants to have a beer with me, Saturday afternoon is probably not the time because I'm not particularly talkative for a lot of it.
Unless
but
it's about
after
6:30,
about
7:00.
6:30 on, anyone's.
Tigers
Anyway.
24, Dolphins 23, 4 tries apiece, 3 out of 4 conversions for the Tigers, 2 out of 4 for the Dolphins. 1 out of 1 penalty attempt for both teams, a field goal out of 1 attempt kicked by the Dolphins. 81% completion for the Tigers, 71% for the Dolphins. 96 plus post-contact meters for the Tigers. Running meters were pretty close, but yeah, they were good in the post-contact. 6 line breaks to 4, 47 tackle busts to 29, 26 offloads to 6. 373 tackles at 90% efficiency for the Tigers, 314 for the Dolphins. 8 errors to 10, 6 penalties conceded to 7, 2 ruck infringements against the Tigers, 1 inside the 10 against the Dolphins. Coruscant with 79 Supercoach points, Kapoa with 79, Laurie with 77, and Aitken with 74.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest game of rugby league I've ever been to, I'll be honest, but it was...
I thought Tigers controlled the game. I thought
enough.
they should have won by more.
They should have. And I didn't think Dolphins looked fantastic. The problem was every time Dolphins got in the other end, they scored, which is classic Tigers.
Yeah.
An interesting game to come in as $1.30 favourites and watch from that point of view. But,
No, definitely weren't $1.30 favourites.
which they never were, and I should have really doubled down at the line at -8.5. But anyway, you work bad out. This is the Tigers forward back we've seen all year. They've got some good stuff coming through.
Absolutely.
With Paul had a good game against Stefan, a good game. Clem off the bench is interesting, and I don't mind it. Maybe that's
probably that stage of his
way to
career
go.
anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, so he can come on and try and play an
He's
impact.
generally always pretty solid with the ball in hand, at least.
And Alex Twal is fantastic.
He's brilliant.
He's had a really good game, Max. Like a really good season, Alex Twal. It's interesting to see he's come from under Madge, where he was just a robot, didn't do a lot. Now he's offloading. Now he's got a little bit of footwork at the line.
He's a fucking brick shit house too.
It's not particularly quick footwork, but it's
Yeah,
footwork
he's
at the line.
solid.
And he doesn't miss tackles. I think there's 44.
Doesn't miss tackle.
44 tackles and none missed again.
I thought Tigers were much more consistent and they worked harder than the Dolphins, but they're probably lucky they played someone that was of a similar sort of level to them, to be honest.
Yeah,
because
and this is what we got.
they just couldn't find those points again. For some reason, Dolphins didn't defend particularly well. They just apart from Appy, there didn't really seem to be anyone pulling the line apart. Buller did it once or twice off the back of Appy. So, Appy had to get him in the position to do it.
Ball to open up for Kapoa was lovely.
Yeah,
but
it was.
he didn't.
He only had a couple of touches.
He didn't do a lot compared to what he's done against the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely. As I said, they're probably lucky that they played there. It was pretty much Appy and Buller up against Nicarima and Sullivan, because they were the two guys from either side that were creating opportunities for points.
And I said this on the day, if you take Nicarima out of this Dolphins team, I don't think they score points.
Sullivan might get them 1 or 2.
Yeah, but that he was integral to a lot of what he did here. But you think back of what he's done since, and Bennett's not an idiot. He's obviously backed him and got him in the team. He was very, very good here as well, creating those chances. But he's their only point of attack. When push comes to shove, Sullivan gets around and does this, that, and the other.
Hammer and Asako were creating opportunities earlier in the year, but it's not happening now.
where if it's not Nicarimo digging into the line or opening up the line with a bit of footwork and pace, it's not happening for the Dolphins. He's got that. He's just got that lovely ability to just get deep enough in the line with space and then put someone through a hole. And again, he did it here for Aitken and for on the other try.
Zarko. Zarko's one, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah. There's a couple of nice individual efforts. Simpkins' dummy half run that got the Tigers a try, and young Fuller, I think he beat about 5 Tigers on his way to score in the corner there, which was a really nice effort on debut, obviously.
It wasn't old Johnny's best defensive game.
No. But yeah, I thought the Tigers are quite dominant, especially in the middle of the field. But for quite a few times when they sort of stuck their head through the line, the support just wasn't there for the offloads and that kind of stuff. They did throw a lot of offloads, but a lot of them sort of had to be thrown a lot further backwards than they needed. They should have just been pop-up balls.
Even that first half where
someone that was trailing through.
Up higher there, and how many times did I say, where is anyone?
Yeah.
I know Buller's going to get a pre-season under his belt, but if they just had someone else sniffing in and around there, they'd probably score another couple of tries.
2 or 3. And I thought it was all over after the field goal. I didn't think the Tigers were much chance at all. And obviously,
we're already about to leave.
It was that 50-50 short kickoff that went their way, and a pretty silly decision from the Dolphins to try and drag him over the sideline when he was well and truly held inside the field, and a beautiful little kick from the sideline 30 metres out. I thought he probably should have been a little bit further in, shouldn't he? Wouldn't the penalty have been given when he was held, not where they throw him over the sideline?
I would have thought point of contact.
Anyway.
Good question.
Would have only been 5 metres.
Send it to Annesley.
Yeah. Cody and Asako were the best of the back 5 for the Dolphins. Or the starting back 5 anyway. Wallace was decent again. He's been good recently. Fuller looks like a definite prospect. He's got some good footwork. He's a big boy, so I think he's got some size to put on as well. Sullivan was great in attack, and Aitken was brilliant in the back row. He's been really good for him all year, playing out in the centres, but he was just as effective here in the back row. We thought he was dead after about 10 minutes when he was hobbling around. His knee was busted, but he kept going. So it tells you he's obviously pretty resilient. Buller and young Riley was very good.
Yep.
I thought they had good games.
Similar to almost a spit of Stafford that's built the same way. Got some strength about him. The other bloke that's bigger than you think is safer.
Yeah, and I was just about to mention him. In that 26 minutes that he was out on the field, he was very impactful. Physical, noticed him every time he touched the ball. Yeah,
I don't know where they're going with him, and I know he's been off that bench player, but I like him, and I like him in around a 17.
Pole and Bateman were very good, ball in hand. Maybe a few question marks in defence, as you mentioned earlier, but they were very good. Papali, Kapoa, Twal, and Simpkins, I thought all had they had awesome games, to be honest. They did plenty for the Tiger side. Got them out of a lot of trouble, and Appy was the clutch man. He was the one that was getting them into position and setting up a lot of their points during the game.
We talked about this a sad night a bit because when I was pissing Harry Grant's pocket at the time. But another former Tigers great. But I think they're clearly the two best hookers in the game, Harry and Appy. Appy is what he's done in this team and how he single-handedly dragged them through. And you saw it there where he even when he was first receiver, he's yelling at Laurie
pointing, shouting,
to say, fucking kick it there. And you see it a little bit. Like he
at times he was the only bloke talking. Even behind the line when they'd get scored against.
What he's done this year is like incredible.
Poking blokes in the chest.
Like he's probably not going to win by the earring like that, but like he needs to be in a conversation to pay due respect for what he brings to this team. Because
if he'd started on fire, like if he'd started those first 6 or 8 weeks as well as he's finished the year.
Remember he injured too? Remember he didn't have a pre-season.
But yeah, it did start sort of slow.
Unison for everyone on YouTube.
It did start sort of slow, so probably the reason why he's not in that conversation as much as he should be. Yeah. But yeah, the last 10, 12 weeks of this year, or even before Origin, before he got hurt in Origin, he was killing it as well. So. Yeah.
Well, and as I said, if they didn't move him out, if they didn't rest him in the Dragons game, they beat the Dragons. There's been a couple of times where Sheens has benched him, and it was just the wrong call. And we know Appy can get through that. Like it's not.
Coruscant 3 points.
Yeah.
I gave Twal 2.
I did too.
I thought he was tremendous.
That's why I mentioned him.
And then I had Simpkins or Papali'i for the 1. Simpkins probably misses out just because he only played. Simpkins, I would say, Papali worked a little bit harder, but Simpkins was fantastic in what he did with his ball distribution.
I think he's a very good player. The problem we have, I think the Tigers have 4 hookers in their top 30 now.
Yeah.
With the 2 here, Talon de Grace and Rua, who we've never seen.
Fallen off the face of the earth.
I think he'll be on the way out
Looks
off
like
season.
it. Yeah.
But they need to. Give it to Simpkin. I think Simpkin was good.
Simpkin, yeah.
But Puppy, like where he came from last year, and he
another
was
one. He's back in his best form.
But his last 6 weeks has been great. Like you're a Tigers
He's
fan.
back at that
and I know I
Parramatta
live
form.
in rose-coloured land, but a lot of these players,
even when they're getting beaten, mate, he's been fantastic.
But their forwards have all been fantastic.
Most
like even when the team came out in the weekend, I realised how much I love Clown because he's been brilliant.
Uttakamano has had, he's a little bit patchy, but when he's good, he's fucking fantastic.
So there's bones there, and it's frustrating because they're going to run last, but they're not the worst team in the comp, but it doesn't mean anything when you're not. Maybe they are.
They'll go down in history as they are.
Correct. So, and I suppose that's all that counts.
Yeah.
All right, we get to and on the way back on the train, Penrith 40 beat the Titans 14 in a game that was much closer than that. I think this is one of those games we see it a bit where this flattered Penrith, and you can tell us some stats and then we'll talk about it.
3 tries to 7, 1 out of 3 conversions played, 6 out of 7, 88% completion for the Titans, 80% for Penrith. 555 plus running metres and 158 plus post-contact metres for the Panthers. But a lot of that was in the last 20 or 30 minutes of this game. 4 line breaks to 8, 39 tackle busts to 54, 13 offloads to 5. 4 forced dropouts for the Titans, 1 for Penrith. 336 tackles made, played 293. 9 errors for the Titans, 8 for Penrith. 1 ruck infringement against Penrith. 1 inside the 10, played 3 against Penrith. And a sin bin for the Titans. Edwards with 114 Supercoach points. Peachy with 94. Then you had 3 other Penrith players before you got to David Fafita on 79. As you mentioned, I thought the scoreboard made this matchup seem a lot more lopsided than it was. They were quite competitive for at least an hour, the Titans. They were up in Penrith's face. They were continuing to fight, even though they had every opportunity to clock off after about 30 to 40 minutes, when Penrith did take the ascendancy and they could have really run away with it. And obviously they did run away with it in the last 20, but this could have been 50 or 60 if the Titans didn't continue to fight the way that they did. But just as Penrith always do, the slightest opportunity you give them, they just jump all over it. Like a free beer that comes past Daggy. It's just gone before you can blink. It's all over and done with.
Big shout out to the lovely lady at the bar in the field club because she was working very hard.
Campbell's
she
injury.
was shocked a few times.
You're back. Jaden Campbell's injury seemed to take all the enthusiasm out of the Titans' attack, and then the defence sort of followed it about 5 minutes later, and then the Penrith just went on a procession. Penrith, of course, wasn't quite at their best, especially very early in attack and in defence for a big part of the game.
Well, again, we saw early ball movement, and they were just been happy to shift early, get the outside backs having to work hard, and it made them feel uncomfortable for the first half.
Yeah, also you got to respect that because they're already working their backsides out. The back 5 for Penrith. They're always up 150, 200 metres, a lot of them. So give them some more work to do. Why not? You know, it makes sense. It does make sense. Seabold's obviously unlocked there something for people to look at over the next 6 weeks.
It's about Seabold, and sorry to go on my old style.
No, you're right. Off you go.
Tangent. But I wonder how much of that is because Manly were again very well coached this week. I wonder how much is Seabold, how much is Flanagan, how much is DCE? Yeah. It's an interesting thing. I was thinking about it earlier because you see what changes next year. And maybe Seabold.
Could you imagine those three are probably sitting around for at least half an hour to an hour having a good chat?
But lots of people who should know tell me Seabold's a genius. So maybe he is.
But apparently he's a very eccentric genius, which rubs some people up the wrong way. Which is, I think, what happened at Brisbane.
And how much is Flanagan and how much is...
I think a lot of it.
If it is
they'd
Flanagan,
all have
like
parts of it
kudos
to do, I would imagine.
that's an interesting one to come into St George because he can. If you're going to think, you have to. If you're coming a team like St George, you have to think outside the box.
Well, even the years that Flanagan was at the Sharks, they were a very well coached team. They were very disciplined. They did do a few different things at times to upset. Like they played different ways to upset different oppositions, and they had a different style when they were playing the likes of Penrith compared to Melbourne and that kind of stuff. Like,
wherever
they
it's
had
a
a very
perfect and it's ironic because they've lost those games, but they came here with nothing to lose and created a perfect storm to try and beat them.
But yeah, you look back at when
I suppose it's not perfect.
That Sharks run, they would play very different against Melbourne.
Yeah.
Compared, like they get in that grind and do that, but they were also happy to play the freestyle, freewheeling type of footy up against the likes of the Tigers and Penrith, who were playing that type of footy at that time. Yeah. So, but it's interesting. It's a good point you bring up. Weren't quite themselves in defence. But they were more than good enough for the Titans, who tried hard, but just they're the Titans. They're not anywhere near the level of Penrith, and even though Penrith were off, they still did it quite convincingly at the end of the day. I thought AJ and Tino were great for the Titans side. Mo and Cleese Haas, after giving him a slap last week, I think he was quite good. Scored the first try in this match. David Fafita was their best player again. He's getting through 25, 30 tackles every week, and he's destructive when he does get the ball in his hand. Penrith did go pretty well to keep him quiet for big parts. But
Mo made 42, by the way.
Yes, he does that too.
160 metres. Imagine Mo and Twile together. Oh, what a dream team.
Fish and Leota were decent. So was Lindsay Smith. They all did their job. Martin and Taruva, I thought, were very good in this game. Taruva, for mine, has just shot into another level recently. He's 200 metres every week, just doing all that hard stuff. He's modelled his game on Brian Toto recently, I think. And he's got really good footwork and pace. So I think he's only going to improve into the future. Crichton and Yeo were also very good in this game, but I thought Peachy and Cleary were the standouts for the Penrith side.
I wouldn't just Peachy's had a fantastic season, like a great season, to the point where if Tungo wasn't looming as the beast in the wings, Peachy should keep the centre spot. He's been fantastic. He's physical in defence again. He creates stuff. By the way, actually, well, we've said it's flattering, but that first try should have been a try. And then to score the next set was good for him. But he's had a great season, and he's now on board. And I suppose you throw Dean Laurie back in around a squad, he'd be happy you'll be hovering and covering some of these blokes. But we'll just touch a little bit on Cleary.
I'm sorry, Edwards was the best.
Well,
Well,
so where are you going to go?
I thought Edwards was the best player on the field. I don't even know why I forgot to mention him, to be honest.
Do you want to just
He
mention him? 300 plus metres.
He makes 200 every week, and this week he's decided to make 300.
Yeah.
He's just always pushing through in support. He's never misses his job. Fantastic under the high ball. Considering, what was it, 3-4 years ago, the bloke was struggling for a good half of the year to catch any bomb that was put up. Now it doesn't matter what type of kick gets put. It probably helps that Cleary puts up those spirals for him every week for him to practice catching. But he's been tremendously safe under the high ball. He is just everything that you want out of a fullback. He's always there in support. He's got a decent passing game.
He's not, people would say, imagine if this team had a halfback or this, that and the other. Even from what we saw on the Tigers, to put in perspective, the game before, if Edwards is up sniffing around in and around that, how many?
Yeah, probably scores 2 or 3 tries. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Incredibly safe under the high ball. He's one of the better fullbacks in defensive positioning. Yep. You very rarely see a ball put into the in goal without him being within sort of arm's length of it.
Yeah.
And he just creates that third man on the overlap constantly on both sides of the field, which leads to the likes of Crichton, Toto, Taruva, Peachy being able to just open up the defence on the outside of him. So,
I don't have much more to add. Stephen Crichton's had a phenomenal year, one of his best years.
Absolutely, consistency through the roof. Week in, week out.
When we half questioned him being in Origin, this, that, and the other, last couple of years, he's been fantastic again. I think he cut off everything pretty well. What am I going to add here? They're Penrith, they're good at it. I thought Titans tried very hard, and in a different world, almost could have got away with this if
they weren't playing Penrith.
Sid Ben and they weren't playing Penrith. But Titans have had a good 6 weeks. You got they're performing the best of their ability. Apparently, as
the interim coach has got plenty out of him.
Yeah. Good luck to him. Apparently, Azeo...
Lenahan? Someone?
Yeah, Lenahan.
Yeah.
Azeo won the ABC Grandstand Footballer of the Year already. Apparently, he's out clear on their 3-2-1s. I don't think he's getting our 3-2-1s.
Is that Louis? That's Luke Louis that gives that out every week.
Louis and
Luke Lewis.
There's still Bobcat and Andrew Moore and whoever else. But
right.
So apparently he's out far clear. He can't lose, which is interesting.
He'd be up there in our counts, but he wouldn't be that far ahead.
Couldn't imagine.
How could they not? Them.
Don't know.
Payne Haas, Sean Johnson.
Interesting.
Anyway,
you must just clean up every week. I'm not saying they're wrong because you can look at it. If you look at
everyone looks at a game differently,
of
and
course.
When you have to give points out that, like the minute you're watching the game,
especially to this team, like we said the other week, you could have given 3 points to anyone on a team the other week.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, he's been consistently brilliant. I think we've got probably 1 or 2 points most games that we've had him, but I think we've only probably given him man of the match in 3 or 4 games. So. There is a difference. We get to sit back and reflect a little bit more too. Watch a few of the.
They do it straight after the game.
Few different things. They do it on the spot as the game finishes,
which isn't a bad thing either.
And they've got a different vantage point. Obviously, I don't know if they're watching it off TVs or if they're watching it from the ground.
Probably a combination. Sydney in town and then interactive studio, whatever it is they're called.
Yeah, but I had Edwards with 3 points. I had Cleary with 2, and then I either had Peachy or David Fafita for the 1.
Nah, go with your first 3. Peachy for 1.
Yeah.
What do we got next? Actually, 38-28, the main event. Storm beat the Dragons in a game that, wasn't overly impressed by the Storm for a team that nearly put 40 on. But
I was pretty impressed with the Dragons, though, so there's probably a bit of give and take there, I think. They probably
that's the thing, it's a bit like Titans.
One of their best attacking games.
Teams are allowed to play well. And there was some very good... I think Ryan Carr's doing a good job there as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's probably one of the best attacking games out of the Dragons all year. And back-to-back 2 games in a row from the Dragons had probably been close to their best performances for the season once the season's all dead. But he had 4 tries, 5 tries played 7, 4 out of 5 conversions played 4 out of 7 for the Storm, 1 out of 1 penalty attempt for Melbourne, and a missed 2-point field goal attempt. I think I'm guessing that was right on half time, was it? Or anyway,
I assume so.
74% completion, played 87%, 168 plus running metres for the Storm. 5 line breaks apiece, 33 tackle busts, played 49 for Melbourne, 11 offloads to 3, 2 forced dropouts to 1, 317 tackles played, 336, 11 errors from the Dragons, 8 from Melbourne, 4 penalties conceded from both teams, 6 ruck infringements to 4. Will Warbrick with 128 Supercoach points, Katoa with 127, and Billy Burns with 112 from the Dragons side.
Who's having a hot run. I like what they've found with their back row now.
Looks very good.
Yeah, I like all of the youngsters.
Dan Russell a little bit quiet in this one, but he's still definitely a prospect there, the young fella.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, second time in as many weeks, Dragons provide one of their best performances of the season. Both sides, I think, would be disappointed in some of their defensive efforts. There's a few tries there that probably should have been stopped that weren't. But there was also some very nice tries that were put on from both sides. Poor old Matt Feeney got found out on multiple occasions. The first one for the Warbrick try and then probably the other 2 as well for his hat-trick. But that happens with young wingers, I suppose. Melbourne scored first, and the Dragons then hit back with 3 tries in a row. Right. And there were some nice tries in that too. You had
really good.
Billy Burns with the run on his own to just cut through a couple of defenders and score, but some really nice deception from Ben Hunt, holding the ball up, playing one way, playing short back against the grain,
and turning both on both sides.
Both tries,
uprights,
just inside the post, and some lovely play there from Ben Hunt. But then Melbourne go back and score those 2 straight back down that edge again with poor old Matt Feeney struggling to find his positioning. But Coates' one-on-one individual effort was probably the game breaker, really. It was pretty close there, and he just runs through 4 or 5 blokes and then runs 50 metres down the field to score. And that was a big momentum changer, I thought. It put the Dragons on their back foot for a fair bit after that. Even though, obviously, they kept coming. And then it was Jerome Hughes and Eli Katoa just busting up that right edge. Nice little grubber and a nice little short ball just led to two very nice tries there from Jerome Hughes, who's now put back-to-back, I think 3 out of his last 4 games. He's been tremendous for this Melbourne side, and he's really getting them around the field and creating a lot of points for them too, which has been good. And then Katoa went and chopped poor Ben Hunt completely in half, and he drops the ball, and Jerome runs away to score under the post to finish the match off. Oh, I think there was a penalty, wasn't there, right on fucking full time as well.
Yeah.
But what do you do? Yeah, they took control with about 20 minutes to go, but it was really, I think it was 2 minutes left when that tackle came in and the Storm went in front. Like the Dragons were only 2 points behind with 2 minutes to go in this game, or 3 minutes to go in this match.
Katoa 54, Ravalawa 73, and then the last one. So 8 points in the last 3 minutes, but yeah, you're 2 points behind. You're right. Yes, that's how math works. And it was. But this is where I which I've had all the way through.
No good. They threw the ball around. They didn't care. Obviously, that comes with not having anything on the line, but. Some of their attack was really nice.
I'd be interested to see how much Flanagan has any say in this. We seem to give this bloke a lot of credit tonight, but whether it's in instruction, whether it's pressure off, whether it's...
I have heard he's been in the background telling them to select some of these youngsters.
And the youngsters are working, and we've had this discussion here a fortnight ago about getting rid of the exposed play. If you 50, 60 first-grade games and you're making up numbers, well, get someone
bobbing
else
up and down on the spot. Yeah.
And this is, like I said, Billy Burns, Russell, even Couchman and...
both Couchmans, yeah.
Or both Couchmans and is it Malausen? They're all adding something different to the team.
Mulhausen, yeah.
Mulhausen. But...
Mulhausen, yep.
But that's the right way to do it. Like, this is how Penrith found their success.
Mm-hmm. Max was pretty good. Max Figo had a good game. I thought Sloan was good also. Chimed in at the right time. Needs to get a little bit more involved, as we've said, for his entire career.
He just feels like I don't know. Yeah, he needs to just go and watch Dylan Edwards. Just get involved. Because he's either all in or nothing. And there's a lot of floating around and looking slightly, deer in a headlight-ish.
Hunt and Laurie were very good in this game. Sully and Burns were fantastic for the Dragons. Welch and Liero were decent in the middle. Grant, Coates and Meaney all had very good games, but it was those 3 guys, Hughes, Warbrick and Katoa, that really pulled this game away and got Melbourne home. Mm-hmm. And they needed to because they were struggling. I actually was really... I was cheering the Dragons, obviously, because I don't mind watching the Storm get beaten. But, they really needed those 3 guys to get them over the line at the back end of the game.
How he's divvying out 3 points to Hughes, 2 to Katoa?
Correct, and 1 to Warbrick.
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, they're really going to finish 4th, but I feel like they'll get annihilated by Penrith if they play in
You would think so.
An elimination final.
Unless they all... they've got a team that if they all pull together and put in that one performance, they could put in a pretty special performance, but
I think they also know that's their game. This is it. If Bellamy can't get out for this one game to have a crack at Penrith, well, why are we doing it for? Anyway, Sunday kicked off 29-10. The Knights put the Bunnies to bed, which pleased me because I declared them.
You did,
and should have had more on, but it was a very impressive performance to watch. As I was trying to watch. Sean O'Malley beat Aljo at UFC as well. But anyway, I enjoyed this because it made everyone else realise that the Bunnies aren't quite with us anymore.
I even thought the scoreboard could have and probably should have been more.
It should have been more.
Anyway, we had 6 tries to 2, which is a pretty fair effort. 2 out of 6 conversions played, 1 out of 2 for Souths, and 1 out of 1 field goal attempts for the Newcastle side. 82% completion played, 58% completion. You're barely going to beat anybody in this competition. 134 plus run meters and 78 plus post contact meters for the Newcastle side. 10 line breaks to 5. 48 tackle busts played 42. 9 offloads to 11. A forced dropout from both teams. 304 tackles played 347. 10 errors to 14. 7 penalties conceded from both teams. A ruck infringement and an inside the 10 against the South Sydney team. And a sin bin for Latrell with a couple of minutes to go. Mazu with 120 Supercoach points, Cook with 117, Ponga with 91.
Can we start calling it Hey No 9 what Ponga's doing right now or not?
It's pretty close.
As I've said for a month now.
Mm-hmm.
There's now 7 straight. They're
And this
a good
is one of
team,
his
Newcastle.
quieter performances in,
He was just in the right
this
spot at the
run
right time
for
on
the
that left
last
edge.
6 or 8 weeks. But there was 20 minutes where, anyway, I'll get to that. I've got it written down.
We'll get to it then.
Obviously, Ponga and Best hit the ground running in the first half, and they really looked clinical at times. They were putting on a bit of a show there. Ponga for 15, 20 minutes looked untouchable. Like the defence looked petrified every time he shaped up to get involved in that back line. They didn't know how they were going to, whether they were going outside to try and cover him or whether they needed to come back in. And he seemed to pick the right option every time. He was beating them on the outside, and then next time he'd come back and beat them on the inside. And it wasn't just it was Campbell Graham. He stood up Campbell Graham 3 or 4 times in that first 20, 30 minutes.
He's not had a good month, Campbell Graham.
But still, one of the better defensive centres, even though he's not in the greatest form. And he beat him pretty easy.
Yeah, and we say
beat him pretty
it's not
easily
a knock on Campbell
a couple
Graham.
of
It's
times.
just we hold him to that standard.
And he was fantastic. Best finally looking to play both sides of the ball. His defence has been really strong recently, as well as his attack, and he's starting to provide as well.
I was going to say
rather
another one
than just
who's now
running the ball
providing
himself,
and also picking up scraps. And when you're getting the scraps along the way, that's the 1%ers that win your game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it probably helps that he's got a very good finisher on his outside, so he probably trusts him, because it did take a long time. Earlier in the year, we were constantly saying he's just not passing to the outside. He's not, he's not providing Mazu with enough options, and now he's quite happy to catch and pass it because he knows he's got an absolute beast on the outside of him. They just bust through 3 or 4 blokes and score tries. He was amazing again, Mazu. He's Titans must be kicking themselves, seriously. Because some of the blokes they've got out there, you can play him in the centres, you can play him on the wing, and some of the blokes that they've got in those positions at the Titans, questionable at best. What much more do you say? It was a clinical performance, man. As I said, I thought they probably should have won by more. They probably should have stretched the score out to a 30 plus, beating them by 30 points.
They had a couple. There was the one where Ponga got dragged down a metre short a couple of times, and they couldn't capitalise. They had another one that was another one that there's another on the left side that they should have scored off, but they broke him open, and Mazu broke him open a couple of times. And
Gagai broke him open a couple of times, which didn't end up in points. But
this has been coming south because they're two sides again. To say two sides of the ball. Their edge defence was shot against the Tigers. The Tigers should have beaten them that game. Yep. And ever since, it's like that was the red flag. And then they've copped Sharks, who just did that, and they've copped Newcastle. I don't know how everyone's missed this, that this was coming for the Bunnies. But then in attack, their execution's been poor.
They were horrible,
poor.
Both sides of the ball.
They still had enough possession here where they should have found more points. At the best they would have. And passes weren't hitting. There's shit going into touch. There's dropped balls. There's they're just they're done.
Latrell got involved in the first sort of 15, 20 minutes, which padded out his stats and made his performance look a lot better on paper than what it was.
He just disappeared for an hour.
I'll tell you where he was. He was standing directly behind Damien Cook.
Yeah.
And if you've listened to us for a couple of years, if you're looking for someone who's bludgeon, look directly behind the dummy half because he's not going to turn around and pass the thing directly backwards to the bloke who's standing behind him.
Yeah.
And I saw Latrell stand there at least 7 or 8 times in this game. Yeah. Not involved. He doesn't want to get involved in the shape because all he has to do from there is follow the ball and get involved. He just walked to the next play the ball and then stood directly behind Damien Cook again. Yeah. And the ball went back to the other side of the field and he fucking walked over to that side of the field.
And then go and look at where Newcastle scored, especially with Mazu on the wing. I don't think he wasn't in within QE
camera shot
of any of Mazu's tries.
Yeah. And then the last 20 minutes he decided he was going to try and get involved and was Errol Flynn. Yeah. Fucked everything he touched. Just every time he tried to throw a pass, it went into onto the ground or into the fucking sidelines. Yeah, he was tapping balls 3 meters forward. He was just, he was fucking horrible in that last 20 minutes. Even though he was actually trying to get involved. Cody Walker was the invisible man for large parts of this game again as well. He did have a couple of nice touches, but yeah, there was 2 blokes, and it's the same 2 blokes for Souths every week. That he's going to have a go. It's Cook and Murray. And other than that, Keon had a bit of a crack, but
for Newcastle to do this without Hastings as well,
I thought
is
Kalyn was
a
quite
tick.
good.
He was good.
Kalyn was especially his kicking
and I
game.
think they'll have good team. Happy teams play good football, and you could see here with even when Kalyn saw the field goal at the end, like it's a fuck all field goal.
Yeah.
They got around him, like you're part of the team, and that comes across, and that spreads through everything else. You've got to say that whether it's, and we've been critical of him for years, as we've said, O'Brien's got them humming.
Yep.
They're sharp. They're quick. Their line speed's good. They are
Enthusiastic, physical.
When I said about sort of putting Roosters fifth, I actually would have Newcastle ahead of them. Newcastle are a danger to some of these teams. I would almost tip Newcastle at full strength against the Warriors. Interesting one to think about.
Forwards, yeah.
Yeah.
The only
But their
question.
outside backs,
But if you get Saifidi and Thompson, rev them up,
you get
them going.
Hastings into the line, open out for Gay Guy.
Yep.
They're gonna, again, they've got. We talk about the outside backs. They can match them at their best. Gay Guy and Best at their best have shown.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Where they're at. But Kalyn Ponga, like I said, I've raved about him for weeks now. From where he come from, where he looked like he's almost going to retire in June.
Yeah.
Well, a bit earlier than that. Let's say May. It was he's had a phenomenal season, and more power to him. He's kicking like a fiend.
He is. Yeah.
And I'd forgotten about it, but it was pointed out elsewhere that
Not so much in this one.
This time a year ago, that's true. Sorry, let's look at that. Yeah. A year ago, he was in a toilet with Kurt Mann.
Yes, he was.
And to come back and, you pay the bloke 1.2 or whatever he's on to win these games, and he's winning them these games. So you say, well,
half of this season he's earned every dollar of that. Yeah, 100%. He's been fantastic. Keon and Duncan were decent for South Side. Murray was very good and Cook was great, but yeah, that was about the only four that you wanted to mention out of the South team. I thought Thompson and Saifidi were very good again in this game. Ponga and Mazu were absolutely brilliant, and the other two were probably Best, Frizzell and Gay Guy were just everywhere. They had plenty of good touches.
Frizzell's having his, as we said, and I was probably almost the only one defending him when he got picked for New South Wales, but he's had nearly a career.
No, he's been brilliant.
Frizzell.
Yeah, absolutely, especially in attack.
Context, yeah.
He's been really, really strong in attack, and he never lets anyone down in defence.
No.
But it was the Ponga and Mazu show at the end of the day. They were the ones that created all sorts of problems for South Sydney. Chuck Best in there as well, providing, but it generally came from Ponga. I gave Mazu the 3. I thought his 3 tries that he did have, again, he had to do plenty of work to do. I think he ran over 200 metres again, and a lot of his tries were only sort of 10 or 15 metre shuffles, so that tells you he's doing a whole heap of work out of the backfield, which he's done now for a good part of this season. Excuse me, Ponga with 2, and then I had Gay Guy for 1 or Damien Cook. But
you
can throw Frizzell in there.
I was going to have Frizzell, but
we'll go with Frizzell.
Give it to Frizzell. What are you for wingers though? Like it's easy to say, Alex Johnson catches the ball and puts it down. Look at what Dallin. If you went back and watched all 21 of Dallin's tries, he's 20 of 21 of 22.
15 of them would be ridiculously hard to score.
Incredible. Marzu's the same. Zarko's the same.
Yep.
You can keep going through a lot of these guys. Like, they have been amazing.
And they're doing they're leading the run meters as well, a lot of them. And a lot of that's not kickoffs. That's taking that first scoot out of dummy half.
That's without mentioning, like you said, Taruva earlier.
Yep.
It's now, you now need to have almost a better back 3 than anyone else to be competitive.
Yeah, and that's been the Penrith blueprint for 4 or 5 years now.
4 or 5 years. I've said my piece and blame me load over them. What's your genuine opinion of Newcastle?
Your definite threat. They're probably the best of the rest, to be honest. If they get it right, their only thing for mine is if they get shut down in the middle of the field. Like, they can be controlled in the middle of the field, and if you get a team that really winds up and puts a whole heap of pressure through the middle, they have been suspect there at times during the year.
Well, we saw actually even going back to the Tigers, where they ultimately beat them.
I think the Broncos destroyed them through the middle of the field. Sharks did earlier in the year.
Parramatta do similar?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So For mine, that's really if they can hold the middle against their opposition, they've got more than enough strike out wide to score your 20, 30 points, which puts you in every single game that you can play. But if they get dominated in the middle of the field, I think they can be held to 1 or 2 tries, and then it's probably game over for them.
I think whether it's week 1, 2, or 3 is decided by Hastings being fit too.
Yeah, true.
I don't think they get further without. If they do, then that is like flowers to Ponga, like
absolutely.
Rain about on it, but I think they need Hastings to get through. Well, they're going to now finish 6th
or 7th,
and they're going to probably play Canberra, who they'll fucking towel.
Oh, they'd play
or Roosters,
Sharks maybe.
Isn't Sharks? Oh, sure, yeah,
it's
that's
5,
true.
5 and 8 and 6 and 7.
So they're either going to cop.
Yeah, Raiders, Roosters, or Sharks. I would imagine the way things are looking.
That would be a crack. That could be one of the games of the year. Sharks and Newcastle.
Elimination final. Yeah.
Anyway, what was it? What was also?
It'd probably be the Roosters or Canberra, I would say.
Yeah, they will both be crackers because Roosters come in. It's an interesting thing. The bottom four is almost. It's stupid. No, I'm saying stupid.
We'll get to it
28, 22,
yeah.
exactly. Where no, it wasn't 2022. This is an
NRL. 36-24.
That's the one. Raiders and the Bulldogs, who Raiders, are still there under sufferance, but Matt Tomoko exists, so that was nice. They won. So.
Yeah, Tomoko and Rapana exist. That's otherwise Raiders would have scored 2 points, like they did the week before.
Exactly. Anyway, here they are. They won this game, which keeps their finals hopes alive.
Scored 6 tries to 4. 6 out of 6 conversions. Played 4 out of 4 for the Dogs. A missed field goal attempt for Canberra. 72% completion from both sides. 220 plus running metres and 134 plus post contact metres for the Raiders. So it looks like they were pretty dominant in the middle of the field, but it wasn't until the back end of the game. 7 line breaks to 6. 47 tackle busts played 32. 12 offloads to 11. 4 forced dropouts from the Raiders. 292 tackles played, 398. 14 errors to 10. 2 penalties conceded to 6. 3 ruck infringements to 1. 2 inside the 10 against the Raiders, 1 against the Bulldogs. Rapana with 160 Supercoach points. Tapane with 97. And then 2 other Raiders players before you got down to Toby Sexy Sexton on 78.
Thankfully, I own Jordan Rapana. That was nice.
You should have captained him. It would have been a good day.
Hindsight's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah, this wasn't the greatest game.
Should have captained Dallin, but anyway.
Again. This created more. Again, we know the Bulldog, the Raiders.
They're going to be suffering some serious head noise.
But they aren't going to win a game in the finals. And this was borderline. I can't say they were outplayed, but they weren't. They didn't outplay Canterbury either.
Up until the last sort of 15 minutes, I really thought the Dogs were going to get them.
Yeah, and especially that early period where they put together those couple of tries at the back end and looked like of the first half, and looked like they had all the momentum through then. And there was a few other little bits and bobs where Raiders fucked around, and Fox took off with an intercept, and we thought, oh, here we go. And there was a few other moments where, Bulldogs were in this game. Unfortunately, I think. I hate to say it, class prevailed, but the 2 best players were, like I said, Tomoko and Rapana.
The big boys in the forward stepped up too.
Oh, you
those
can't knock
3
Tapane,
big names, Tapane, Papali'i, and Horsburgh had really big impacts in the middle of the field, and were probably the main reason that they got so many extra running metres through the middle of the field.
Which is a story every time you play the Bulldogs.
Yes, absolutely. Decent performance from both sides, I thought. They both put in plenty of effort, but they just couldn't seem to get out of their own way. They seemed to cause more problems for their attack than good things. 50% of the game was them getting in the way of themselves, and then the other 50% they did all right. But it's just a continual back and forth. It was just ridiculous. Like, I score, you score, we score, they score.
Yeah.
Just continually throughout 50, 60 minutes. And no one really seemed to take an ascendancy, but Rapana was involved in, I think, every try that the Raiders scored. Like, I don't think they score a point without him. Yeah. He was fantastic, chiming into the back line, not really breaking it apart with his footwork, but just getting into the right position, running direct and hard at the line, and then promoting his outside ball player, his outside runners to, Tomoko had a field day on the outside of him. created some nice stuff back on the inside. Fogarty got him round the field with his kicking game. He was pretty decent, obviously, doing that.
Rapana's an interesting case because he is, like, he's in the Gutho echelon of effort. Mm-hmm. You can never love him or hate him, and I can understand why
his
people
positioning is generally pretty
he's
good.
Always pretty, but he's always
does
there.
have errors
He's
in him,
always
though.
there. Yes. But he's someone you'd want at your club. Like, he's just.
And it's not errors like Reece Walsh where he's creating stuff. It's generally simple, stupid errers.
Oh, he'll run across and just drop a bomb cold or a grubber will bounce in his face some. But apart from that, he's always going to let it in sometimes
massive
his
amounts
fees,
of effort.
with his knees.
But half of that's probably the reason why he makes so many mistakes, just because he's trying so hard. But
when you compare him and Gutho's effort to what Latrell produces week in, week out, it's like it's
Chuck Dillon Edwards up there. Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%.
And I think they can do worse. I don't know where they're heading. Apparently, Whiten's trying to backflip on his South contract now. Got in Triple M Day, but I don't know where they're heading. And apparently, they're sort of heading. They've got Ethan Strange there. They're looking at Seb Chris maybe as 5'8", because Ricky likes just making up 5'8s.
He does.
But they could do worse and just giving Rapana the one and saying, "You're the one." There would be clubs that would love to have him play fullback.
There would be a couple of them. Yeah, Dogs would be one.
Exactly.
But they had Avarilla, who probably matched his effort in this game. Yep. I thought he was brilliant in the amount of effort he put in. He saved a try with his feet. He saved one with his arms. He was generally in there or thereabouts when there was point-scoring opportunities for the Bulldogs. I thought King and Kickow were very good for the Bulldogs side, as was Waddell. The halves were good. The halves did their job. We just didn't have enough blokes. Like, as you said, there was the Josh Addo-Carr runaway intercept. That generally turns into points, but it didn't. It got shut down. Canberra scrambled, and then the play fell apart a couple of plays later. There's a couple of different things like that could have gone the Dogs' way.
Poor old Reed's trying to facilitate shit around at the same time. And Reed had an
average game, actually, in this one, which is unusual for him. He's been close to their best player most weeks. Edwards was good for.
I like Harrison Edwards
for them. For him, and Liam Knight, I thought had a very good game for the Bulldogs, which is a bit of a couple of guys that have come into their pack that they haven't had during the year, which is positive signs towards next year. But they still need a couple of guys to go in and around.
But they're all
the rest
still.
Of it.
They're all still lanky back rowers.
Yeah.
And you need to find it.
They need two wrecking balls to come into this side. Yeah,
because I don't think you can move really to the middle.
King works his ass off, but they need two. They need two Paulo and RCG types
Edwards,
to come into this side.
Edwards, and you throw Preston back in. Edwards, Preston,
Kickow.
Who's the other one you just said? Oh,
just
Liam
Preston
Knight.
will end up at 13.
But they're all the same player.
Like Knight's a bit more of a bowling ball sort of through the middle.
But they're all sort of that lanky.
But he's your backup. And
with
front
Pangai going, obviously it frees up a bit of money. And they got Siwa coming back, so
they need two of your.
Who's the best? So
the two of your Spencer Lenu, Fisher Harris, Totola types to go through the middle.
Yeah, Siwa's coming back, so can't wait.
Could help.
But he's 34. But
correct. And Avarillo was involved in everything. I thought he was the best player for the Bulldogs. Young Whitehead and Gula were good. Fogarty, Tomoko had very good games, especially in attack. And the big names, as I mentioned, in the forwards stood up, and they were probably the difference, really, apart from outside of Rapana, who was easily hands down man of the match in this game. Rapana with 3 points, probably would have given him 5 if I could. Tapane with 2, and then I had either Papali'i or Tomoko for the one.
I'll give it to Tomoko.
Yep, fair call.
Because his tries,
2 tries
were both off his own bat, basically just busting over.
He was put in good position off Rapana, but he did have to break the line and then continue on. So,
Canberra under sufferance.
Yeah, absolutely.
They might be the
they still might miss, to be honest. If Penrith rest half their side and the Cowboys manage a win in the last round, Canberra will go out for and against. Canberra do have good records against Brisbane and Cronulla, recent records. I think it's 5 out of 6 against Brisbane and the last 9 against Cronulla. So there's definitely a bogey against Cronulla, and Brisbane are a different team to what they used to be. But
if Canberra beat Brisbane in the final, I'll
No, these are the 2 weeks leading into the finals.
yeah. If Canberra beat Brisbane in 2 weeks, I'm not going to say stupid.
Canberra win one of those 2 games, they're done. They're in.
Yeah.
But if they lose them both, and the Cowboys beat, they got Dolphins this week and Penrith in the last week. So the Cowboys would have to win both those games, and Canberra would have to drop both of their games.
That's right. And Brisbane will put 50 on this week, and then you've got Sharks will put 40 on next week.
They should, by all rights, but
I know,
as I said, 9 games in a row they haven't beaten them. So, and the Sharks weren't the worst side last year, and they beat them both times last year. They've beaten us this year. True. So
they could end up with They could end up with the worst for and against in the comp.
Yeah.
And somehow finish ninth. It's incredible. Anyway, what have we got? Let's wrap up with a. Let's go to the potplant first of all. And it's the week for it.
There's
plenty around.
Is it the same one?
You can go first.
I've got Schuster.
Well,
tell us why. 25. He only played 25 minutes. Did not have a run in 25 minutes when being put back on the bench to play back row.
And he played back row and didn't have a run.
Didn't have a run. Touched the ball twice, dropped it once, and I think just shoveled it on the second time.
But how do you play 25 minutes back row and not have a... Isn't that your job to have a run?
Made 8 tackles and an error.
Fuck.
In 25 minutes.
I want to see the day come where Locke Croker walks to him, puts the ball in his hands, pats him on the back and says...
Go, big fella. Semi-big fella, yeah.
I knew it was coming.
But he did it the week before. He had 2 runs, I think, the week before as well.
Yes. No, but since in the last month, he's
absolutely
disgusting.
spat the dummy.
Yeah. And they're trying to offload him.
Wish I could spit the dummy on 800k.
Anyway. But this is old Scotty Fulton. What a job he's done.
He's yours now.
Yeah. He'll end up at Tigers next year. You watch.
Maybe.
Manly,
Scotty Fulton's yours now.
I know.
But,
I know.
Good chance.
Manly will offer 500 just to get rid of him.
Absolutely. I would.
And you probably go somewhere.
On the money he's on.
Someone like Flanagan will take him.
He's dead set had 3 games this year that he should have been paid for. The rest of them.
The rest of it. Embarrassing. And you go, now I'm going to go Sevo.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing in defence. I don't know what his plan was, but conceded a hat-trick down his side untouched. He is my potplant. Offered nothing, and he just doesn't do.
And he's not trying to get involved either.
He doesn't get involved. He's not interested in getting involved, apart from trying to tackle people in the air.
And that's why he's my slap, because
you
know at his best he can destroy teams.
Yeah.
And even when they were in good attacking position, he wasn't putting himself into position to.
But they don't go
be
to
on the
him
back
anymore.
of a
it's like they just go
back of a backline play.
Yeah, we're stuck with him.
But cut back in and fucking you're 115 kilos and fucking 6'4".
Yeah.
Go
and try and take a hit off the ruck and score under the post or something. Eh?
Fucking Brian Toe's 5'5" and fucking takes 30 hit ups a game. Fuck.
He needs
go
to
and
do
do
more.
something.
I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't playing first grade next year.
Reserves,
yeah. Bonus. God bless him, but I'm gonna also. I may as well go to it with a slap. I'm gonna slap Latrell.
Yeah.
I think that has to be done and needs it because we were all quick to rave about him, but that was average.
Yes, more than average. And then to finish it off with the stupid fucking elbow sliding across the ground on the back of Frizzell. It's lucky Frizzell didn't get up and fucking knock his teeth in. But
Frizzell was just he was just sitting going, really?
Why?
Really?
What are you doing, mate?
But anyway, he deserves to be slapped. And we'll finish on a good one as we always do with a salute.
Absolutely. Yeah, mine's Jerome Hughes. I think they lose that game to the Dragons if he wasn't there. He's been awesome. I think he's played 3 of the last 4 games. He missed 1 through injury, but he has been tremendous in his last 4 outings. And what were his stats, to be honest? Here they come. We had 80 minutes, 1 try, 3 try assists. My phone doesn't want to let me do what I want to do. 13 runs for 140 metres, 4 tackle busts, 2 line break assists, 14 tackles and a 1 miss, plus a few kicks. Yeah, a lot of kicks. 16 kicks for 400 metres. Without him, they probably lose by 10, and they managed to win by 10. So.
Yeah. He's had a very good season since he came back, actually. Not to be rude there. I'm going to finish. I've got a few salutes, actually. I'm in a good mood.
Good. Get them out.
Newcastle and Kalyn Ponga.
Yes.
Outstanding. Fantastic to see them put Souths away. the Turkey Guzzler, for giving us a fine afternoon out. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you. Yes,
Love
I'll
you,
add
mate.
him. I'll add him to a salute from me as well.
Yeah, you can shoot him a message and thank him.
Absolutely.
And Appy Coruscant to nail that from the sideline and drag those fellas. I was going to say something else there.
I did message him on the weekend actually because he put a post up saying how good it's going to be when they smash Sharks this week, and I'm like, oh, put a bottle of turkey on it. He's like, no, fuck you. You got enough free drinks off me this weekend. I haven't bet on them all year. I'm not doing it now for you. Fuck off.
He's a good man, the Guzzler, and a fan of the show. So thank you for that. And Appy nailing that, and he's deserved that. He deserved to have that moment for what he's done this year.
What about the Tigers giving Luke Brooks a barbecue?
Apparently, he likes cooking. He likes.
It's the weirdest thing in the fucking world, dude. Bloke's played for you for 10 years and you wheel a barbecue out on the field for him.
Well, they wouldn't have spent any money on it. Someone's jumped up.
Didn't want to get him a gold watch.
Couldn't you got him at least a Weber or something? It was a whatever it was.
Anyway, I think we got a bit sidetracked there. Sorry, people.
No, but honestly, apparently he loves cooking, which is fine because I love. But go get him a Weber or something. It was only one of those fucking weird.
Who knows? Might have been some fantastic barbecue. Who knows?
It might be amazing. But apparently, the story is he loves cooking meat.
Well, there you go.
And I didn't learn from James Maloney, apparently. But he's not going to play again for the Tigers, actually. So that's him done.
We might have to go barbecue alone this weekend.
That's my plan in the morning. Anyway, we've got, let's go home, eh?
We've got another whole show to do on Wednesday.
Yeah, we're back on Wednesday to do a preview. Leave us some feedback, as I said, especially on YouTube. Leave us some comments. Let us know when we're full of shit. Buy some merch, Footy and Frothy's hats, shirts, steins, everything else in between. Thanks to everyone that's listened. Subscribe to us if you haven't already on all of those mediums, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube,
Facebook, X, whatever.
Blah.
All those things.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening. It's been some fantastic numbers and appreciate that you're enjoying the show. So we'll be back again to do it all Wednesday night when we preview a very interesting round ahead, actually. So that'll be good. And obviously we'll do it again to review this next week. See you guys.
Good night, mate.